He has no personal relationship with any of this. He's not going to lose any money. He's not going to lose people he knows or cares about. So, but if I ask the group, who do you, most people, who do you trust? Do you trust the airlines or do you trust the FAA? Why don't you trust the airlines? Because they're selfish, they're greedy. We don't trust greedy, selfish people. But of course, what is the selfish interest of an airline? To fly safely. What happens if an airline crashes and it's shown that it's bad maintenance that caused the crash? They go out of business. Clearly in their self-interest. Why do we have elevator inspectors? Every elevator you get into in the building has a little thing with some government bureaucrat has signed off that the elevator works. We don't. Why? Because we don't trust the guy who put in the elevator into the building. But what would happen if one of these elevators failed? That guy would be out of business. But we don't trust that. We don't trust this self-interest. And this, to me, in my view, is Ayn Rand's revolution. The revolution is providing an ethical basis for self-interest. Ayn Rand says that self-interest is a virtue. Self-interest is figuring out what is in your self-interest, is the moral challenge that each one of us faces. And morality is the science, according to Ayn Rand, of trying to tell us what is truly in our self-interest. What works, what doesn't, if we want to live a good life, a good, long, happy, fulfilled life. What kind of principles are going to lead to that? Ayn Rand provides an ethical system that underlies this notion of self-interest, pursuit of one's own value, of one's own life, of one's own happiness. Sound familiar? Pursuit of one's own happiness. It's in our founding document because the founders understood that it politically, and I think at some level they understood it ethically, that stands at the core of a free society. The right of each one of you, each one of us, to pursue our own happiness. Now that's pretty selfish. Founders didn't say you should all pursue the happiness of society. They didn't say you should pursue the happiness of the group. They didn't say you should pursue the public interest, the interest of Washington. They said you should pursue your individual happiness. Now that's the real revolution this country is about. The right to your life, your liberty, and your happiness. Ayn Rand provides, in my view, for the first time in history, a moral foundation for that idea. And capitalism is the only political system. By leaving us alone, capitalism, in my view, is that system which leaves you alone, which doesn't tell you how to deal with one another, other than what was the one thing we exclude from human interaction is the use of force. Capitalism is the one system that allows us each to pursue our own happiness. To go out and fail. Bear Stearns failed. And in true capitalism, what would happen when you fail? You fail. You go out of business. You don't get bailed out by taxpayers. You actually go out of business. You suffer the consequences of your own action. And when you succeed, what happens in the capitalism? You benefit. You benefit from the consequences of your own action. That's what pursuing your own happiness means. It means going out there and doing what you think is in your best interest. And it turns out that what's in your best interest is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's good by the standard of your life. And yes, as Adam Smith points out, we all benefit from that. When individuals pursue their own interests, there's, Adam Smith has the concept of the invisible hand. Somehow it all meshes together and we're all better off. And that's true. We're all better off. But the fundamental is, the good here is, that we all as individuals are pursuing our lives, our values, what's good for us. That's what makes it a good system. That's what makes it ethical system is the fact that it's the only political economic system that allows individuals to pursue their own values free of any interference. And if somebody uses force, if somebody tries to stop you from pursuing what you think is right, that's the only role of government, according to capitalism. The only role of government is to step in and prevent people from violating your rights, from using force against you. So, somebody pulls a gun at you, that's when the government steps in. If somebody commits fraud against you, that's when the government steps in. If some foreign country invades, the government steps in. If there's a legal dispute, the government steps in. That's it. It doesn't bail people out. It doesn't provide incentives for home ownership. It doesn't manipulate interest rates. It leaves each one of us to pursue our own, life, liberty, and happiness in the way that we feel, that we think, that we rationally conceive of, independent of influences of committees in Washington and our politicians and political compromises and everything else. And I think in a system like that, you wouldn't get the kind of nonsense or the kind of crises that we're experiencing today. These crises are complete consequence of what I call, or what is traditionally called the mixed economy, a mixture of some freedom and lots of manipulation and regulation and control. So the true case for capitalism is not that we're all better off, it's not the social good, it's not the public interest, but that capitalism is the only social political system that allows you as an individual to rationally pursue your own happiness, your own values, your own success, your own wealth. It leaves you alone to do that. And that is the fundamental case for capitalism that needs to be made. And unless, in my view, unless that is made, us economists and business professors can talk about the value of markets all we want, but we will move away from freedom and away from capitalism as we are today. So in the fight for capitalism, it's this particular case for ethics. I think this is where Ayn Rand is so important. We've got free books over there, so if you're not familiar with Ayn Rand, this is an opportunity to get familiar with it, because I think she's the only thinker in history who really provides a moral defense for the system that all of us, even in this mixed form, benefit so enormously from. Thank you.